Well, here we are again with another edition of the Hoskowitz Report. Now, I am Savannah Butler, and I am filling in today for my friend Irene as she takes a much needed vacation. And also, she's on a special assignment back east. And I believe she'll have many stories to tell us when she returns. Well, right now, let me tell you a little bit about myself before we begin our interview today. I am. Oh dear. I am Savannah Butler. I'm originally from Saluda, South Carolina, but I moved to Charleston when I was a teenager, where I took some special classes in this special school, and I ended up an actress first, and then a nightclub owner and restaurant owner later on. Now, I've always had the gift of gab, which is what my great-grandmother used to call it, and that brought me on quite a journey. Now, I love to talk to people. I also have an ability to sort of discern what's going on with people, and sometimes I have surprised them with what I have learned about them that they certainly didn't expect. And I also have a way of talking to people and getting the dirt about what's really going on with people. And that brings me to my interview today with a really fascinating man who has been on Irene's report before, Angelo Bruno. Welcome, Mr. Bruno. Or may I call you Angelo?
Angelo is fine, Savannah. And I
Oh.
want to tell you, it's a very great honor to be with you today. You're a beautiful lady, and it's a beautiful day. This is a beautiful place, and it's a pleasure to talk to you.
It's wonderful, Angelo. Well, I tell you, it's just really great after having seen you before on the previous interviews, so I was really glad to be able to do this today. Now, having read your book, I'm very curious about those BODs, the bad old days, you called it. Now, they sound dreadful. Now, as this historian that you are, how did we enter this present golden age?
Well, took a look at the planet, as you can imagine, Savannah. The most important thing that the authorities used to understand in those days was how contagious and dangerous evil ideas could be. Evil ideas. See, in the bad old days, it was riddled with them. And like Sir Rupert used to say, individual thinking produces a lot of conflict and confusion. See, so that's the way it used to be.
What were these evil ideas?
Oh, and these evil ideas were ideas that had not been approved and were not socially acceptable, had not been approved by the authorities, you see.
Oh.
Yeah, see, it's hard for us to imagine today, but in the bad old days, thought crime was really a way of life. People could think what they wanted, they could say what they wanted, they could talk, they could communicate. Didn't matter even if the ideas were completely socially disharmonious, they were able to say them. Well, that's the way it used to be. Yeah.
I see. Well, were there any disobedient people?
Oh yeah. There's always some pain in the ass who reckons he knows better than everybody else, you know. But these guys, they couldn't get no traction with the herd. See, the herd likes to stick together. They all want to agree with each other, and above all, they crave leadership. See, so that's what the authorities did. They stepped in and they said, like Sir Rupert would say, they took a firm tone, and they said they tried to. They succeeded. They scared the shit out of everybody by telling them how dangerous ideas were, how contagious they were, and in fact, if anybody had an evil idea, they were supposed to turn themselves right into the thought police.
Right.
And if anybody tried to tell you another evil idea, you were supposed to turn them into the thought police. And of course, they used to have gags on people at those days in public to remind them not to take evil ideas to each other.
I remember there was some sort of rhyme or some kind of chant we used to have to do in school that had to do with that. What was that?
Yeah. Harmony good, discord bad,
right.
one
Discord
for
bad,
all for one. Compliance good, resistance bad. Everybody happy under the sun. Yeah, remember that?
Oh, now, speaking of school, really, those rhymes. Now, I remember I read in your book that children were taught these ridiculous ideas. Now, something about that the Earth went around the sun.
Oh yeah, see the bad old days.
That was just
Yeah, in the bad old days, they used to teach everybody all sorts of crap.
Uh-huh.
They told everybody the world was like a ball, round like a ball, and it would go
Right.
around the sun. And of course, nowadays we know this is a lot of crap. But in those days, they didn't want to wake people up. They didn't want to alarm them by telling them about the Kraken. They wanted to stay in a state of sleep.
So
see?
everybody, we had, it was, well, people had a false sense of security. then.
Exactly, Savannah. That's
I
exactly what they had.
see.
They didn't want to tell people about the Kraken. See? And-
So, well, now, I was never really clear about what happens at night.
Oh, it's easy peasy, Savannah. This is
Uh-huh.
this is the way it was, and the way it still is.
Uh-huh.
The sun goes down on the west. It goes under the sea. It comes up in the now. When it goes under the sea, this is a very dangerous time because when it goes under the sea every night, it's got to do battle with the night sea monster, the Kraken.
And I heard the Kraken, that's like a giant squid.
A giant squid with tentacles so long
Oh,
and so
goodness
powerful,
gracious.
they can reach everywhere over the land and grab anybody, see?
Oh,
and that's why it's so
dear.
important for everybody to say their prayers at night.
That's why we had to say our prayers.
You were taught that at school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To defeat the Kraken.
Exactly. If you don't say your prayers at night,
Oh.
then the Kraken doesn't have enough strength to defeat the sun the next day.
That's right.
Now, in the bad old days, what they used to tell people was that this was what they called an eclipse, when the moon would go in front of the sun. This was all bullshit. What really happened was the sun was having a tough time,
Oh,
and
right.
because it didn't have enough energy, those little kids didn't pray enough.
Didn't say the prayers
So you've got to
at night.
scare the shit out of the
Oh.
little kids so they say their prayers. And if they don't say their prayers, then the sun gets dim. It's like night in
That's
the middle of the day.
That happened just last year, and it was horrible. And so this is, I mean, people just didn't say their prayers, and not enough people.
That's exactly the reason,
Oh,
Savannah. And that's
dear.
why these little kids, if they don't say their prayers, they get taken by the Kraken. The Kraken's going to
dear.
get them. So you see, this is what happens.
And so the truth is, the Kraken. You have to scare these kids. So that's why there's so many missing children.
Exactly. See, if you don't say your prayers at night, the
goodness
Kraken's going to come,
gracious.
wrap its tentacles around your throat, draw those little kids under the sea,
Oh dear.
where they have to serve the Kraken and help to get other little kids.
Oh,
That's where all those
no.
kids are going, see? Yeah.
Oh, well, I am so glad we've had this little talk today. I mean, some of my best friends have had their children taken at night. They did not know what was happening.
Oh, forget about it. Those kids, they deserve what they got. You know, you get disobedient,
dear.
the Kraken going to get you.
I
huh?
see. But Angelo, I mean, these parents really love their children. That just is a tragedy.
Oh, no, they got to get used to it, yeah? Because, you see, that's progress, baby.
Oh dear.
The
Well,
whole idea is you got to get. All kids are a pain in the ass.
Oh,
Best thing could
dear.
happen would be the authorities take care of all that shit, and
Well.
they get rid of the families altogether. I don't mean the Brunos; they were on the other side, you know. But I'm talking about the herd families. The idea is to get rid of those altogether. See?
I
Yeah.
see. Well, Angelo, I am certainly glad that we've had this talk today. This has been an eye-opening session today, for sure.
I'm really glad to
I mean,
hear
the
that.
Kraken has to be exposed. We've got to learn to appreciate the authorities' ultimate plan.
Exactly, yeah.
It's the only way. So thank you so much, Angelo.
Savannah, I don't need no thanks. My reward comes from getting rid of misinformation and telling
I
the
see.
truth to as many people as possible.
The truth, the truth.
Yeah, the truth will set you free. Yeah?
We need to get it out there. Well, thank you. Thank you all for coming on and listening to another edition of the Hoskowitz Report. I'm sure Irene will be back and have lots more to share with you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.